All right, Leftovers at Midnight. I don't know the episode number, but we're gonna have a good time anyway. How's everyone doing?
Doing
Fine.
great. I think we're on episode 15.
I think 16 maybe.
I think we're on 16.
One of those.
I
Last
don't
week
want to
was
keep track.
my
Can't
first
count that
episode
high.
was 14. So
Okay.
We're in the
this is
teens.
episode 3 for me.
Ooh, yes. If this is
Okay.
episode 16, this is
Cool.
episode 3 for you. Technically 4 since you've been on before, but you weren't a host.
Well,
Yeah.
this is episode 3 for me as a host because
Yeah.
the first one
Revenge
doesn't
of the
count.
Fifth.
I gave you guys so much wrong information. Alex asked me about when we played with Bad Omens, and I totally said that show got canceled, and it didn't. I just deleted it from my memory because it was the worst show we've ever played. Like,
Oh
that
man,
was just a nightmare, dude.
they came on my
enough.
Spotify earlier, and I was like, no, not
Oof.
happening.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. I do not care what kind of backlash this gets me. If somebody sees this who gives a fuck about whether
Tell
or
'em.
not they should support Bad Omens,
Tell them.
I will never buy a ticket to one of their shows. I will never sell another ticket to one of their shows. Those dudes had not one, but 2 meet and greets before the set. Okay. So we show up at 5:30 to drop off all of our ticket sale money and return all the tickets that we didn't sell. And we're like waiting to sound check. We're supposed to go on at 7 sharp. Our sound check's supposed to start at 6:30, and we couldn't go inside to sound check. They wouldn't let anybody in the building that wasn't there with a fucking meet and greet pass. So they had the first meet and greet for like uber Bad Omens fans who I don't even know if any of those exist because I don't know anybody who loves them that much, right?
Nope.
So they have the first meet and greet and they're like playing PS4 with their fans. And then they had the official meet and greet where everybody came in and took pictures with them. And that lasted until 6:50. So we got up there. We didn't have any room to put any of our shit because they backlined their entire rig, including the drum set, on this tiny stage. It's like a 10 by 10 stage. So there was just enough room for all the equipment that a band would require, and they backlined their drum set. So we had on the stage, John on the drums, Brian and Josh on vocals, and then me, Austin, and Nick, both guitars and bass, had to stand on the ground with our amps behind us on the stage because there wasn't room for us to stand.
I remember that. That's shitty.
Robbie was there. It was a fucking garbage. I'll never play for Bad Omens again, and I'll never play Pegasus Lounge again. I'll call it out. Sorry, but
Sorry, not
never
sorry.
again.
That's such like an egotistical move too.
I know, and we were playing with Bad Omens and Oh Sleeper. And Oh Sleeper those guys were cool as crap. Like they were super chill, but Bad Omens had like their entire digital backline set up and all the lights that they brought with them and their own PA and all this crap. So they literally left us like maybe a quarter of the stage to work with. And we weren't we were the only opening band. Like there were other bands that were supposed to play after us that had to deal with the same crap. Like, I mean, I try pretty hard not to be like an entitled local musician because I don't think my band is any bigger than it actually is. But like, why would you have a show where the people that you are paying money to perform cannot set up their equipment to perform properly? I just don't get it, dude. Don't get it.
It's all ego driven at that point because
I mean,
they're
it
assigned a band.
wasn't. I mean, it falls on really both the venue and the band and whatever management they have. Sorry, Bad Omens, but
you're not sorry.
That's some weak shit. That is some weak shit. No one, like, you guys had maybe like 50 people out at that show with your name on it, and they were all people that the local band sold tickets to. So
it picked it up.
Yeah.
I'm firing way too many shots right now.
Well, I'll help you out with that. I'll fucking reload for you. The chick that was the bartender was a complete cunt. So
I heard that. I didn't even get anything from the bar. I was over it. By the time our set was done, I was so mad. I rage really hard when we don't play really well, like harder than I should, because we always sound better than I think we do. but like I get really down on myself if we don't sound good to me, or if something happens during the set and it was like, perceivably on my end, my fault, I get real down on it. And it's a toxic thing that I'm trying to work on.
Right. Like I remember that set, and a lot of it it wasn't even you guys. I think one of the mics went out and like stuff got unplugged just because of the way you were set up.
Because of the fact that they had their backline set up that way, outlets to use. So I had to plug all my shit in directly in the center of the stage on one of the floor outlets. So one of our vocalists kicked out the plug for my amp twice during the middle of the set. So I just like completely lost signal. And I was like, what's going on? I look over and Josh is just like stomping around on my cables. And I'm like,
what the fuck,
but
man?
He had like a 3 square foot block to move in, so I couldn't really be that upset about it. It was garbage. It was lame, and I don't ever want to have to do that again.
How are you supposed to bring energy with no stage?
Yeah, like if somebody if somebody moshed at that show, they would have just hit their head on guitars. Like,
yeah.
So anyway, we're on a podcast, and not the bitch and complain about local music.
I will say every show I've been to of yours is pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, the only time it's not is when it's the venue's fault, like that one show.
I mean, we've had a couple of. Well, you saw us at Transitions.
Been to like 6 of them, I think.
And you went to our first show, didn't you? Out at
no,
What We Live For.
That was before I got hired.
That was like one of our best sets ever.
That's what I've heard.
But I know you saw us. I know you saw us a couple of times at the Noise Box, and we sound pretty good at the Noise Box.
Transitions twice, Noise Box twice, once in Fort Ritchie, I think.
Oh, that's right. You came out to Rebel Base.
Yeah, that, and there was another one. God, was it? I don't remember the name.
Shout out to Rebel Base. I don't think they're doing shows right now. They're a church, but shout out to Rebel Base. That was a fun show.
There was another one I went to. I don't know.
You didn't come. Did you ever come out to the one at Hudson at What We Live For? Did you come out for the Made from Stars show?
Maybe that was it. I think.
Yeah, Made from Stars did their album release show there, and we played that set. That was cool. There was a lot of people at that show, especially for that tiny ass building.
Yeah. So
that sounds.
Eric, Alex, speak.
Well, I was going to say that, like, I unfortunately wasn't able to go as many shows as probably Robbie did, but I always had a kick-ass time because I'm like, hey, good music, cool. This is a good band, and they're my friends.
It's always fun. It's always fun. Like, as much as I want to bitch and complain about it, I miss it desperately. You know, it's been officially, like, as of this month, it's been a full year since we played a show.
Yeah.
Because our last show that we had booked that ended up getting canceled was like first week of April last year, right when everything shut the fuck down.
Yeah. Which is, that's a whole other thing in itself. But yeah, I mean, even with the shows that I've been to, I don't think I've ever really had a problem. So just going to experience other bands was just like, okay, cool. So
it's always, I'm always, like I said, I'm always super critical and I get super down on myself over it. It's usually not that bad.
Yeah, I definitely need to come out. I haven't been to any of your shows, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully there will be more.
Hopefully
there's I'm sure.
Yeah.
Once
we're going
this
in,
craziness is over.
I'm going in to track some guitars on new shit this weekend, and we're having our new vocalist, Trenton, come out and actually lay down vocals on either the next track we're releasing or the track we're releasing after the next track we're releasing. We got to figure out the schedule on how we want to get those out. But we're finally getting him in to do vocal tracking, which I'm so ready. I'm so ready to have new music out to be proud of, because
I was going to say,
bio still says you will find safety out on all major platforms, and that'll be 2 years old in September.
Oh,
damn. Already 2 years old.
Damn. Oh, that's a long fucking time ago.
September 2019 is when we released Calamities as a music video.
That was a good record you guys had.
I loved
that
it.
One. It was like just the right amount of heavy for me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing that record. I really enjoyed tracking that record. We had a ton of fun writing it. I mean, I talked about all this the last time I was on. But yeah, just having that extra little bit of influence as far as the writing style was concerned was a huge deal as we were working on that album. I'm glad that we released it when we did. I'm glad we waited to release it until we did, because we ended up with we have so much fucking music to use that we can't decide what to do, which is like a paralyzing problem. It's almost worse than not having music, because there's so much to choose from and there's so many different ways you can kind of portray your sound that it just becomes like, well, we can't decide, so we're just going to not put anything out.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks.
Well,
yeah.
how was everybody's week last week and this week?
It's nothing but uphill for me.
Yeah.
I heard you had a really good week streaming this week.
Yeah, you're killing it on Twitch, Eric.
Do I get to brag?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I mean, go ahead.
Don't say the numbers, because if anybody from Twitch sees it, you're bye.
Yep. And that's why I know to be careful about it.
Good.
Yeah, I had a fucking phenomenal week this week with my Twitch streams. Without getting too specific with like the numbers or anything. So the way that Twitch kind of calculates your payout, like they count it at the end of every month from the first to like the last day, and then you get paid on the 15th of the next month. So yeah, it's super weird. So it's
I guess that's better than being paid like weekly, where you could have one week where you have like a really garbage week and no one watches you, and you get like a $1 check.
Yep. So to kind of put it simply, like the numbers that I've seen, my first payout was about what I expected. Then the second month, it doubled. And because of actually last night's stream alone, I'm sure that anybody who like watches Twitch or whatever is like familiar with hype trains. Kind of how that works is like if somebody donates X amount, or if enough people do donations like at the same time, it starts what they call a hype train. So like you can keep that timer going. It's like a race to the finish line. So like the more the people want to give, it just adds to it. But that alone quadrupled what I've made.
Wow.
So far.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah. So
Manny mentioned that you had a really kick-ass stream this week. So
yeah. It just what's crazy to me is that even within the first month of streaming on Twitch, for those that don't know, I streamed on Facebook for 2 years. And when I got to the point that I was like finally doing well, I realized it just kind of flatlined right there. And it was almost immediately that I picked up on it. And I had to branch out. So I did my thing and I started streaming on Twitch in November of 2020. And in that time frame alone, the numbers just from like people being interactive and like everything that I've gotten from that from so far, had more than tripled from all the time that I had been on Facebook. So, I mean, I to put it simply, I'm doing something right. And the stream that happened last night and the stream that happened on Monday were absolutely immaculate. Like it's been fucking phenomenal. This all started as basically just a bullshit pipe dream. And here I am with my logos on t-shirts.
Yeah,
so
man.
It's really exciting shit. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I think the cool part about like being in an industry like Twitch or in entertainment in general is that it's not like a retail business or a reselling business where if you have a good week, that might mean that you're going to have a dry week the next week.
Yep.
Like if you consistently provide quality entertainment, that's just going to continue to happen. You may not always have the same numbers, but from my experience, and I have pretty limited experience, I don't watch a whole lot of Twitch streamers. There's one guy that I watch every game that he plays, and that's usually my Twitch intake, and I usually watch it in the YouTube VODs later because when he streams all day long from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So like most of the time, if I'm interested in watching a game he's playing, I am working and can't actually watch it live. So,
Yep.
but I don't like, I got to a point where I didn't really care what game he was playing. I watch because I want to watch him play games, which is such a weird concept. Like the whole idea behind it being not only socially acceptable, but encouraged to watch other people play video games, to me is a super cool thing, because I am 100% a backseat gamer at heart. I am not good at video games by any stretch of the imagination. I considered streaming on Twitch so that people could like make fun of how bad I am at it. I have played most of my life. The video games I've played on like easy or normal mode, and that is as far as I go, because I won't finish a game if the challenge becomes too great for me to be able to continue paying attention to it, you know? So being able to watch other people play video games and then know that no one thinks that's weird is fucking
right. Viewer. And I think one of the most crucial things that I've noticed over the last few weeks is that the games that I've been streaming, I'm brand new to. So like currently for the next couple of weeks, I'm doing a Witcher 3 run, and I know nothing about it. I didn't play the sequels. I didn't read the books. I didn't do anything. I just dove right into it. So the thing that I like telling other people is that, you know, what you're seeing me experience is like a genuine reaction. And if it's your first time playing it too, then, you know, that just kind of goes hand in hand. Right. But yeah, and it's cool as shit seeing like, you know, people that I've never even met or that I don't even know. They'll message me on my Discord server or whatever and be like, hey, when's your next stream? Like, what are you playing this week? Or what are we doing for community nights? Like total strangers. And I'm like, this is just kind of what I'm building on. And it's the coolest fucking thing that I've could have pursued.
Where can people find your stream?
So if you're actually listening to this, excuse me, I'm sure we'll have a link in the description, but for the audio people, you can find me at twitch.tv/Dr. DOCTOR _radical RADICAL. And I'm live Monday and Wednesday from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern. On Fridays and Saturdays, I do 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Monday and Wednesday and Friday, I do like single player games. And every Saturday is community night. So I'll play with the viewers. I'll play with my friends.
Golly. 8 hours in the middle of the night. You're just out here playing video games for the world.
Yep. But on the same token, my sleep schedule is completely adjusted to that. Like I usually wake up anywhere between noon to 6 p.m. It just depends on how hard I sleep, honestly. Sometimes I'll sleep for 3 hours. Sometimes I'll sleep for 10. But I'm completely adjusted to being on the night shift. I mean, I've got roommates and they work during the day. So at night, I'm just kind of thriving. And even if we're not like doing podcast recordings or if I'm not streaming or whatever, I have peace and quiet and I can just zone out in whatever I'm doing, you know, whether it's Photoshop work, video editing, whatever the case is, like I can get completely immersed in that and not feel like, oh, the phone might ring or, you know, somebody might call me or whatever. Like I don't have to worry about that. I can silence my phone and just have a few hours until the sun comes up.
Yeah, but what about your demons? What do you do when your demons are there, Eric?
See, that's why I have so many lights, because I mean they can't fight me in the light.
Yeah, ghosts don't like the light. It's a proven fact.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm best friends with my sleep paralysis demon. What about you guys?
My sleep paralysis demon is just Shaquille O'Neal in the corner of my room doing that head bob from that old music video where he's just like.
Somebody get that.
I hate it.
That's just how it is. All I see is just
glad I don't have your life.
Chilling in the corner of the room right there, just like.
But yeah, for any of the viewers or for any of the viewers that are listeners that are on the late night shift like me, just come and hang out. I mean, I'm not good at games by any means, not really. Like I'll get some really cool moments, but it's not like I don't play for the skill. The one thing that I realized, especially on Twitch with streamers, is when you're doing just video games, you're doing one of two things. You're either really good or you have a good time. And I fall under the good time category. Like I'm not very good at shooter games. I don't like streaming those very much. Unless it's like a community night, I do that with like the viewers. But I play story-based games just because I like watching cinematic cutscenes. And I feel like that's another way to like keep everyone on the same page. Like we're all watching these cutscenes together and it's like, oh cool, it's like a movie night. So yeah, it's been a fucking kick-ass ride. See where it goes.
Alex?
Word.
Yeah, so we're talking about weeks, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a little while. I'm still in the process of moving, but I got my piano back there, so I'm happy I've been able to pick back up on piano in the last week. It's just been going well. I've missed it. I didn't have space the last time. So
this is kind of a side question, but is your piano MIDI enabled? Because if it's not, I have a MIDI keyboard that I literally never use.
I do believe it is MIDI enabled, actually.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but
oh man, it's
nice.
How much you want for that MIDI keyboard? I almost bought one the other day.
I will talk to you about that later.
Poggers.
I'll give you about $350.
Yeah, it's about $7,000 on eBay. Don't look it up though. Trade me for my camera.
No, it's not like a super high-end MIDI keyboard. So, but yeah, I'll talk to you about that later for sure. Anyway, carry on.
But yeah, so that's been fun. Moving is fun. I hate it. I'm hiring movers next time I do this. I've learned.
Good idea.
It's been twice now I've moved myself, and no, never again.
Yeah. That's why I travel light.
Just
the first time
if you want to feed you water bottle.
And Hannah moved, we moved everything in one day. Because we moved out of like my bedroom at my parents' house had everything we owned in it. So we moved everything in one day to the new apartment. And then the next time, like when we moved from the apartment into the house we're in now, I had stuff at the old place for like a month. Like because we moved with like a month left in our lease, and it was like we had all kinds of stuff we had to do at the apartment still, which didn't really do any good for us because we ended up not getting our security deposit back anyway. If you have carpet, cats are a bad idea.
True.
Or if you have cats, carpet's a bad
idea. Yep, I feel that. Yeah, I gotta have the place cleaned up this weekend for my old apartment because their lease is up at the end of the month. So it sucked. I paid rent twice this month, but
that was what we were up to when we moved. I had 2 electric bills for like 2 months.
No,
worst.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
Like I had to really perfectly time it so that when we left the old place, that the new place had internet already. But because of that, I had to pay all these like, changeover fees and stuff to get my internet set up at the new place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was lucky enough that I could just transfer it.
Garbage. Total garbage.
They're never great. I refuse to use the ones they give. I have my own router.
Nice router, but today's not that day.
I got me some open source the firmware on it. So
nice.
I am living the high life when it comes to router technology.
I'm living the high life when it comes to router technology. My name's Alex. I have a good router.
We have this weird Cox Media Group router that my roommates brought with them from when they moved from California. And it's like their whole, like, they have this, what do they call it? Blanket Wi-Fi technology, which sounds super cool, but it only works with Cox Media Group.
Yep.
Not Cox Media Group, Cox Cable. Cox Media Group's a radio station. It only works with Cox Cable service. So, like, technically, they're not supposed to have it. It's supposed to kind of be the thing where you rent the router, and then when you leave, you give it back to them because
Yes.
the technology is proprietary or whatever. And I tried hooking it up when I got here, and I was able to get on the internet for like 4 minutes, and then it locked me out, and I had to unplug it and plug the one back in. But that router had like, it was a gig up and down, maxed out, and my router, the specs say it maxes out at 100 up, 100 down. And I pay for 500 megabytes up and down per month, dude. So it's like,
Good Nighthawk.
One of the after working at Comcast, I mean, I don't speak for the brand of the company anymore, so I can kind of indulge on this stuff. So one of the big things that I learned at Comcast was that like the reason that people keep their routers, modems, or gateways for so long is because providers charge you monthly for those.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that they do that is A, because you're using their equipment, but B, it's because they have the access so that they can troubleshoot it. So if you go buy your own equipment, you have to access it on your end, but you don't have to pay the extra, like what, $20 a month or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Comcast was like $15 a month when I worked there for their equipment. But that's one of the main reasons a lot of people keep it, because they're like, oh, I paid like $300 over the course of a couple of years just for this stupid thing. I'm keeping it. Like, they're not getting shit back. So that was a really big thing. But we also had people that would just like leave it in their apartments, and people would be like, hey, this box has been here for a couple months. Can I use this instead? And the thing is with those, we can still Comcast can still service those old modems and gateways, but they won't charge the monthly fee for it. So because it's already like pre-owned, but it's still Comcast equipment, you get the best of both worlds. So, you know.
So in essence, you're telling me the advice here is to get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. The one thing, especially for anyone that like moves into an apartment, if you happen to know the people that live there before you actually move in, let them leave their equipment. Because if you can use their equipment, because all you have to do is call the provider and be like, hey, there's a box here. Can I use this instead? They'll basically switch over the numbers on their system and you get the box. So, and they don't have to worry about sending you one out. You don't have to worry about going to pick one up. Like, it works for everybody. It's just one of those like weird secrets that nobody really talks about.
Good to know.
Yeah. The main reason that service providers like deter you away from using their equipment or deter you away from using your own equipment isn't just so they can charge you extra monthly. But there's no way, like, let's say you have Spectrum and you use your own router. Spectrum wants you to use their router because they can't access yours. Like, if you call Spectrum with an internet problem and it's not an internet outage, you're fucked. Like, they cannot do anything.
So let's say hypothetically you have their equipment
mm-hmm.
and you have your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I went out today and bought myself a better router
mm-hmm.
and my internet's not working, hypothetically I switch my router to their equipment and my internet's still not working. They can then access that, fix the problem internally, and then I can switch back to my router.
In essence, yes, but it's not quite that simple. Basically, how you have to do it is like, what I was going to say is you call them and say, like, I'm having a problem. They find out where the problem is. And if it is as simple as the box, then they would just replace it for you. If it's a wiring problem, like with the internet cables itself coming from like the outside of the house, then they would try to troubleshoot it. Okay. So in theory, like it depends on where the problem is, but let's say they are able to fix it. While you have them on the phone, just let them know, like, hey, the internet's working now. Can I go ahead and switch my box back? Sure, no problem. They switch the numbers, boom, you're good to go.
Okay, so if I did want to switch routers, do I need to tell my cable company?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So whoever your provider is, let them know, hey, I would like to remove it. And the reason why I say that you should call them is because they have to remove that monthly fee that they're charging you. I don't know if all providers do charge monthly fees, but if there's anything tied to it, they have to remove that from their account. And they will more than likely tell you, they will more than likely tell you keep that box in case you have a problem. And if they do give you that okay, then absolutely hold on to it. But yeah, you can just call them and be like, hey, here's the information for the box. They'll plug it in. It usually takes like 10 or 15 minutes or less to like actually boot up, but your internet should be good to go after that.
Right on.
Yeah. Super good stuff, though. Good questions.
How was your week, Tommy?
It was long. It was a long week. We had some friends over for drinks this weekend, which was cool. I finally beat Hannah at beer pong. In all fairness, and I will fully admit this, I had stopped drinking like 2 hours before we had this match, and she hadn't. So, like, realistically, my skill level at beer pong probably is not. I know for a fact it's just not as good as hers is. I just had a significant advantage being significantly more sober. But we had a good time. I mean, we've been work's been great. We've been busy this week. We've been really busy. But it's just been long. It feels like we're cramming a bunch of stuff into every day. I had a doctor's appointment last week right after we recorded the episode the next day. So I got to go pick up a prescription this week, and that'll be nice. So I can just not think about that for a couple of months.
There you go.
But otherwise, I would say nothing really of note. I did finally get my very first PCB for my first effects pedal build. And I'm sitting here like, grinding my teeth, waiting for my components to come in so I can actually build it.
Is it an Adafruit?
No, this comes from, I'm going to give them a quick shout out. Maybe they'll sponsor me. Doubt it. I don't think they sponsor anybody, but this is the Green Gauge Overdrive from pedalpcb.com. And it is a clone of a pedal that I have wanted for a long time. It's a pedal that ever since it came out, I wanted it. It's called the Plumes Overdrive by Earthquaker Devices. And I'm a huge, huge fan of their stuff. Those guys make some wacky shit and I love it. And all of their marketing, all of their enclosure designs are really cool. And the pedal itself, like the one that I'm cloning here, only costs like $90. So it's not like a hugely expensive guitar pedal, but all things considered with all the components and the PC, this was probably the most expensive part of the build, and this was $10. And then I got all the components I needed plus shipping for like $13. And then my enclosure cost me like $4. So all things considered, I paid less than $30 for everything I need to just build one. And I figured I might as well build something that I already wanted rather than something super easy that is inevitably going to end up sitting in a drawer somewhere or given to somebody who doesn't need it.
Right.
So I'm stoked. I've been wanting to build a pedal since the big April shutdown of last year. I was interested in getting into small electronics and learning how to solder and everything. And since then, I've wanted to build my own effects pedals and amps and stuff. And I finally have like an actual PCB, and I'm not just like noodling around with point-to-point wiring and Vero board, just like fumbling my way through it.
Doing anything like that, tinkering is fucking exciting shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know me, I'm an upgrades guy. I love to buy things that are not super great and figure out how I can make them less mediocre.
Yep.
So,
like when you 3D print parts through your 3D printer.
Yeah. For the record, anybody who's watching this who doesn't know this, 3D printing is extremely meta. It's an extremely meta process because almost always when you buy a 3D printer, the first 2 weeks are going to be you 3D printing 3D printed parts for your 3D printer.
So that you can 3D print things better.
So that you can 3D print things better. So you have a 3D printed 3D printer, 3D printing 3D printed parts for your 3D printed 3D printer. There are even printers out there that come stock in the box as a kit, mostly with 3D printed parts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it like Maker what are the orange ones? Prusa. Thank you. Aren't Prusas mostly 3D printed?
i3 MK3S is like the gold standard of at-home printers, and they're not like super expensive in the grand scheme. They're like $700-800. But like my printer, I paid $160 for, you know, like
Yeah.
The Prusa is that's a really good machine. You don't need to print any upgrades for that when you get it out of the box. There's no good reason you would need to, because they're just so well put together and so well thought out. And actually, I believe if it's not today, yesterday was Joseph Prusa's birthday. The guy who invented that open source DIY. That was like one of the first DIY 3D printers out there that you could buy fully as a kit with everything that you needed instead of having to source all the parts yourself. And that's been, like I said, it's been the gold standard. My printer that I have right now is based on that printer with much, much cheaper parts. But yeah, I mean, it's a whole world, man. I can look around my house and find, just in the blink of an eye, like 10 things that I've 3D printed that have made my life easier. Like, for instance, I have this lovely headphone stand clamp right here that sits next to my desk that I printed to hold my headphones so that I don't have to hang them on my microphone. Or, SpaceX rocket. Or, like,
yep.
It's super cool, especially once you kind of get into the idea of doing 3D design and stuff, that I can see a problem in my home and think I can make something to fix that, and it will take less than a day for it to be done and fixed, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yep. And you've got all the necessary parts and resources that you need, so it makes it a lot easier. That's cool shit, man.
And now they're 3D printing fucking houses, dude. Like,
I know.
It's insane. Hannah's stepdad is a contractor, and he is working with a guy out in West Palm Beach who has one of the largest outdoor 3D printer. In construction terms, they call it additive manufacturing, because that's what it is. You're adding material instead of like something like a CNC machine will take material away to create a part.
Yep.
So you have a lot more waste, takes a lot more time, takes a lot more fuel, and it's more expensive.
Reductive, right?
Right. Reductive manufacturing or subtractive. And when you're looking at 3D printers, even in like medical applications, they're using additive manufacturing to produce metal parts. Like one of the guys that lives pretty close to us who owns the Ultimate 3D Printing Store, which is a big retailer in the 3D printing game. And he does a lot of like premium, like $4,000 and $5,000 machines, like that you can print a brand new puppy dog with. But he has several of the vertebrae in his spine have been replaced with 3D printed titanium vertebrae. He said to me, he's like,
interesting.
I tell you that I live and eat and breathe this shit, I was not lying. He has a copy of the model of his spinal vertebrae like sitting on his desk. Super duper cool.
That's kind of dope.
That's sick.
Is it Joe? Do I know him?
Yeah, it's Joe.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to blast his name because
we're not going to. Joe's a pretty common name anyway.
Check out ultimate3dprintingstore.com. They are absolutely incredible dudes. And they are based, within half an hour of my house. Please don't dox them.
You just doxed yourself.
Well, yeah. Just look for shitty internet within a 10-mile radius of Ultimate 3D.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Hey man, those people on 4chan can find out where Shia hid the flag based on airplanes.
Oh yeah,
if they want to find you, they'll find you.
I better turn my camera away from the windows so that nobody can catch a glimpse of my street.
Yeah, or like a car driving by.
Right. Yeah. They'll see the movement of the stars and shit.
Yeah. So
if only 4chan was ever put to good use,
I feel like it has been.
We just don't talk about
It's entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I have some questions for everybody.
Word.
Oh no. Okay. I might have answers.
Hopefully we do.
Fucking God, you do. First
do we get
one
to study?
Is if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh boy. Somebody else go.
All right. So for me, it'd be super speed because I fucking love the Flash. My dog is named Barry. And I just think with super speed, there's so many different things you can do. You can fucking phase through shit. You can like, I have to paint my house this weekend, and if I could just super speed through that bitch, oh my god, it'd be amazing. It'd be so nice doing everything in like fast forward. I could sleep in super speed. I could shit in super speed. I can do whatever I want, and I'm going super fast. Alex, put your finger down before I put it up your butt.
I totally agree. I believe wholeheartedly that the Flash is the strongest DC superhero on Earth.
100%. He can just spin in a circle and throw a fucking lightning bolt.
Not even just that, dude.
Batman
he
can't
can
do shit against
vibrate
that.
at such a frequency that he can reach into your body and pull out your heart
He can just
without you ever noticing.
vibrate his hand and you're dead.
Yeah. Like, imagine like the level of friction that you could create just in the air. Like, you can create heat just by vibrating fast enough that you boil the water in the air.
He'd kill someone if he fucked them.
The Flash punched and broke reality. Okay, that's gotta be enough for some people, but nobody's ever gonna recognize the Flash the way that me.
What is he, Saitama?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, I would say the Flash is the closest thing that we have to Saitama.
Yeah, I think
Punch Man guy.
Yeah,
but could he beat Goku though?
No,
but he couldn't beat Goku.
No. If I were to have a superpower, and it's kind of in a similar vein, I think I'd actually pick time control. Because you can go fast, Robbie, and do everything, but I can take my time and no time will pass.
And maybe you can fast forward into the future when you'll have a 3090.
When I have a 3090?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I knew it was coming.
Yep.
Fucking owned, dude.
Roasted, kid.
Oh, man. God
Eric loved
damn.
that one.
Speaking of roasted, we need to have a series of episodes where we just straight up roast each other.
Can we get a montage of every time we've bullied Alex
Yes.
for not having a 39?
If anybody's watching this that like is consistent with the episodes, please make a montage of every time we fucking kicked Alex in the dick about not having a 3090 and send it to the email address that we have. And if you don't have the email address, ask one of us. We'll give it to you.
I shed a tear.
It'll be okay.
That's good. That's good shit.
We'll
I fucking love it.
him.
I've shed many tears. It's to lube the fans on my 3090.
Continue with what you were saying, Alex.
But yeah, I think time control itself, fast forward, rewind, pause, all of that. You could do so much with time control.
There's an entire Adam Sandler movie to tell you why that's a bad idea.
Yep.
I watched that a couple months
that
ago
movie.
again.
That was a good movie.
Great movie.
I love that
Movie
movie.
slaps. I love it.
But Adam Sandler wasn't mature enough to handle that responsibility.
But it's Adam Sandler. Robbie and I love Adam
I
Sandler.
feel like maybe that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah. What, Robbie, speaking of, what the hell is the name of that Halloween movie he was in?
Hubie Halloween,
Halloween.
bitch.
So
This movie
good.
was amazing.
We watched it together and I fucking loved
soup.
it.
The soup.
Yep.
Oh
The
my
ultimate
God.
thermos.
Yep.
The ultimate thermos. If
What about
I
Jack and
had
Jill?
Oh god, that was terrible. I hated it. I
It
hated
hated
it.
you.
I didn't like it. Well, that's fine.
You hated what now?
Jack and Jill, the Adam Sandler movie, the one that shouldn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one where he like played the twins. I didn't like it. It's one of the only Adam Sandler movies that I refuse to watch more than the first time I watched it. I watched it once. That's it.
To be fair, I don't
That was
remember
like
much of it.
his version of Norbit, where Eddie Murphy
That was
plays
that
all the
was a funny
characters.
fucking movie.
As much as I love and respect both of them, it was very much a Norbit movie. Like,
got a
and it just felt
girlfriend?
like a Kmart knockoff. Like nobody
You
wants
do
that
now.
shit. Like, take it back to the studio. Fucking leave it there.
Your superpower. Go.
Ugh.
I
Mine,
got more
telepathy. Telepathy. I would love to make my life that much easier.
You
I'd fucking
nasty
kill
ass.
myself if I was around you, dog.
That-
I
that-
would not want
that-
you to read my mind.
Well, I'm sorry. Telekinesis. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, totally different.
that's different.
Yeah, I got the words mixed up. No.
Still stands. I
Telepathy.
still kill
No,
myself.
absolutely not. As short-term memory as I am, I don't need to read other people's bullshit and
Hold
then
on, what
forget
were you
everything.
Do it again.
Yeah. Telekinesis.
You're just sitting
It's
with
like
someone,
Timmy
you're just
from South
looking
Park.
at them, and then you just go, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
I have trouble comprehending a short passage of reading without having to do it a couple of times in a row.
Yep.
You know, the
Yep.
ADHD. So I feel like reading someone's thoughts would be even more difficult to retain any of
Yeah,
that.
no, that would be
information.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Fuck all of that noise and bury it. Telekinesis would be much easier for my life. Like, I don't need to be super strong. I don't need to be super fast. Like, I don't need to be super smart. I mean, I'm kind of a dipshit, but like, I would rather be efficient with things. Like, if I'm moving something, I can just kind of lift it and then put it where I want it. Or like, oh no, I left my phone on the other side of the room. Let me just boop and just like have it right in my hand. Make
Why is
it
that 39
way
floating?
easier.
Look at it go. Oh, there it is. Oh.
Wee. But I don't know. I mean, there's so many other things you could do with telekinetic powers, but like just making my life a little bit easier. Like open the fucking fridge for me, fucking pump my gas while I sit in the car. Like, just the little things make everything more efficient.
Yeah.
So,
Tommy?
yeah, that's mine.
Fair.
I think so. I'm just going to go based on one of my favorite superpowers that's ever been out there, and that is Gambit from X-Men. His power, if you don't know, because everybody knows Gambit as the guy who throws playing cards, which sure, that's the thing he does. But scientifically, the way his power works is that he can take the potential energy of an object and directly convert it into mechanical or kinetic energy.
I like
So,
that.
and he can, to my knowledge, I believe he can store that potential energy in his body. So, like, potential energy being having this held up in the air with gravity weighing down on it, the potential energy of it is equal to how much energy it would release as it fell from this point to the ground, right? So, the things you could do by converting that potential energy into kinetic energy would be absolutely insane. Like in Gambit's case, throwing a plane, which generally is not an extremely rigid or robust material, throwing it through someone's body because of the amount of force and energy placed into a simple piece of paper. But
Right.
like effectively, if you were able to do that, on anything just by touching it, you could stop a car from moving by just putting your finger on it. And
Also
you
true.
could then hold a baseball with all that potential energy you've just stored up from the car that just hit you and flick it at someone and literally just implode their head. Now,
That's
for the
pretty
sake of it
badass.
being practical on a day-to-day basis, I would never have to buy gas again.
True. Just push your
That's
car.
also true.
I would never have to worry about pushing something heavy because you can just transfer that energy into, and I may be butchering what Gambit's power is here. So anybody who's like a true down to the core comic book nerd that I have offended by my description of Gambit's origin story, please don't fucking say anything to me because I don't
Leave it
care.
in the comments.
Oh,
And his
no,
Twitter's in the
seriously,
description too.
because
So
it's a very interesting topic for me. Like, I love how one of my favorite things about that franchise is how their powers work scientifically. Same with like the Flash in the CW TV show. They kind of go into the physical
Yeah.
chemistry and physics of the motion, and that's super super cool to me.
Yeah.
all right. So I got 3 more questions for us.
Sick.
So next one, what is the funniest joke you know by heart? So for me, all the jokes I know by heart are a little too edgy for the podcast just because I don't live in the South, but like I know some good old boys. Some of the shit they say is just funny. It's like that's probably offensive now. So there's a couple of those that I know by heart.
All
But
right, I got one for you, and a little bit long, but just trust me on it.
okay. So
So,
just yeah, you go. Yeah, I'll wait.
okay. Um, so this guy is driving through the desert, and his car breaks down. Right, he's completely run out of gas. He's miles and miles from civilization. So he starts walking along the road, and he comes up to what looks like a big temple. Right, it's like a church of some kind. And he goes into the temple, or he goes up to the temple, and he knocks on the door, and one of the monks answers the door, and he said, "Hey, I am really hungry. I'm really thirsty. I've been traveling for hours and hours because my car broke down back on the road. Is there any chance that you had an extra bed for me to sleep in tonight so that tomorrow morning I could use your phone and call for somebody to tow my car?" And the monk says, "Absolutely, that's no problem." He leads them into their guest quarters, which is separate from the rest of the monks. But he leads them into this room, and he said, "You can stay here tonight, and then we'll drive you into the city in the morning, so that you can have somebody come and look at your car." So he goes to sleep, and in the middle of the night, he wakes up and he hears the most magnificent sound he's ever heard in his life. It's beautiful. It's just this cacophonous, rhythmic, and transcendent sound that he's never heard anything even close to it in his entire life. And he follows the source of the sound out of his bedroom that he's staying in and into the main hall area. And in this area, there's these gigantic wooden double doors, right? Bigger than any doors he's ever seen in his life. They look too big for a person to even open them. Okay. But this sound is just emanating from behind these gigantic doors with this little tiny bit of light that's leaking through the cracks between the wood and the stone. And he can't stop thinking about it. He goes back and tries to go back to bed and tries to forget about it after the sound goes away. And he can't forget about it. He stays up all night thinking about it. So the next morning, they're going to drive him into town so he can get his car fixed. And he asks one of the monks, he said, "Hey, so last night I heard this sound coming from those big doors in the atrium. Like, what's that sound?" And the monk says, "Well, I can't tell you because you're not a monk." And the guy's like, "Well, I mean, that's fair. I'm not a monk." So he goes about his way on his way. They get his car fixed. He picks his car up. He gets it towed. And he goes about his regular life. 3 months later, he shows up at this monastery again and says, "I can't stop thinking about this noise. What's it going to take for me to be a monk?" Okay. So the guy in charge there, the head monk, says, "All right, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to go to all of the beaches in the world and count every single grain of sand." And he's like, "Every single grain of sand?" He was like, "Yes, every single grain of sand that you can find, and then come back here." So the guy does it. He spends years and years and years going to all of the beaches in the world to count the grains of sand. And he goes back to the monastery. He says, "I've done it. I've completed it. I've counted all the grains of sand. Can you tell me what's making that sound?" And the head monk says, "No, the next thing that you need to do is sail out into the middle of the ocean and count the stars, every single one, as many as you can possibly think of." And the guy's like, "Are you kidding? I just spent the last few years of my life counting sand, and now you want me to count stuff so far away that I don't even know if it exists by the times I see it? Fine, I'll do it. I've got to know what that sound is." So he goes out, he spends another couple of years out on the ocean by himself in a boat counting the stars. And he comes back and he's become a little bit more enlightened, he's become a little bit more meditative, and he says to the monk, "I've done it. I've counted all the stars. This is how many stars there are, and in the process I've learned a lot about myself. What is making this sound?" So the head monk says, "Okay, there's one final test you have to do. You have to climb to the tallest mountain in the world and examine the beauty of our planet and know how infinitesimally small you are in relation to the rest of existence. And you need to do this for a year." So the man goes up and he climbs to the top of Mount Everest, hypothetically, and meditates there for a year. Okay. He goes back. He's like, "All right, I counted the sand. I counted the stars. I did the meditation at the top of the mountain. Please tell me what's behind that door." And the monk says, "You have earned it. I'll show you what's behind the door." And they walk into the atrium. The monk somehow opens these gigantic doors that look like no human should be able to open them. And the man sees what's making this sound, and he becomes completely and utterly enlightened. And I can't tell you what was making the sound, because you're not a monk.
You son of a bitch.
See, I hate that. One, because of how long it is, and two, because I realize I've heard that before. So the only joke I know like by heart that's like super wholesome is what it is. It's something my dad always told me, and it starts with knock knock.
Who there?
Dwayne.
Dwayne who?
Dwayne the bathtub I'm drowning. It took me 10 years to understand that joke.
That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I didn't know. I thought we were talking about the funniest joke we know by heart, but this is like the daddest joke you know by heart.
The funniest joke I know
and
by
I
heart is
got the
offensive
perfect one.
now, so I'm not going to say it.
No, I'm not asking you to.
Right.
As
You guys will hear it
Okay.
off camera.
Go ahead, Alex.
I got a good old joke from a comedian. We're allowed to steal jokes, right?
If you know it
I mean,
by
if you
heart.
know it by heart and it's funny, I feel like it counts, but you can't take credit for it.
Oh no! I'm not taking credit at all. That's why I asked. So basically, I just moved, right? And I decided I'd go over to my neighbor, knock on their door, say hi, and we're talking, we're getting along, and I'm like, oh, so by the way, what do you do for a living? He's like, oh yeah, I'm a professor of logic over at the University of Science. I don't know, non-specific university of Science. And I'm like, oh, a professor of logic. Well, that's interesting. What do you do? And he's like, well, it's all about ones and see. Well, it's hard to explain. Let me give you an example here. So you own a doghouse, right? And I'm like, yeah, I own a doghouse. And he's like, oh, well, by that logic, you own a dog. And I'm like, yeah, I own a dog. And by that logic, you probably have a family, a wife, or girlfriend or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And he's like, oh, okay. So you must be heterosexual. I'm like, yeah, I'm heterosexual. He's like, see, just by asking that you have a doghouse, I concurred that you are a heterosexual. And I'm like, oh, interesting. That's cool how that works. So anyways, the other day I'm talking with a coworker, and I was just, giving the story about I was talking to my neighbor, and I was like, yeah, well, he's like a professor of logic, and my coworker's like, oh, well, what's that? And like, well, basically it's this and that. Oh, let me give you the example that I was given. Do you own a doghouse? And my coworker goes, no. And I'm like, oh, you must be one of those homosexuals. Logic.
Wow. I thought of a better joke, but Eric, what's yours? Fucking Alex, man.
Okay. So I've known this joke since I was a kid, and it's fucking terrible. It's just stupid humor. So, guy gets on a plane, he's got a backpack with him, right? Everything's going fine during the flight. Captain gets on the comms, says, hey, something's going wrong with the engine. Everybody grab a parachute and get the fuck out. Throw your bags, then jump. And the dude's like, fuck, all I've got is my backpack. I'm gonna have to throw everything out. But I've only got a few things with me, so we'll see what happens. So the guy throws out his bag, but he remembers that he's got an apple, a pear, and a grenade. So he throws the bag out. It just flies into the wind. He grabs the parachute. He's like, all right, I guess I'm jumping. So he jumps out, and he sees his bag just flying in the distance. Everything else just flies out at some point, and pulls his chute, and he's just gliding to the ground. And he sees this little like neighborhood area. And he's like, oh, perfect. I can land there. Normal traffic coming through, nothing like dangerous or anything, probably in the middle of the city somewhere. So he lands on the sidewalk and just like drops a chute, and he's like, all right, I gotta find my stuff. I gotta find the rest of any of the people that might have survived, whatever. I'll find them at some point. So he walks down the neighborhood. It's like a cul-de-sac type deal, but like connecting streets. So he walks down the first neighborhood, and he sees this little kid like ground, bike's falling over, kid's crying. And the guy walks up to him and he's like, "Hey, little buddy, what's wrong?" And the kid's like, "I was riding my bike in the street and I fell down because I got hit in the head with an apple out of nowhere." The guy's like, "Oh, shit. Okay." And he just walks off, like, didn't even fucking pay attention to it. He keeps walking down, minding his own business, trying to think not about the kid that he just fucking impaled with an apple by accident. So keeps walking down, and this little girl is sitting on the sidewalk, and she's holding an ice cream cone, screaming at the top of her lungs. Ice cream's on the ground, and he's like, "Oh shit, can't be good." So he walks with the little girl, and he's like, "Hey, sweetie, are you okay? Like, what's going on?" Like, "I was eating my ice cream, and it got knocked out of my hand by a pear." And he's like, "Oh, fuck. This is definitely my fault." And he's like, "I'm so sorry." And he like hands her like the $3 that he had in his pocket. And he's like, "Just go buy another ice cream cone." When the ice cream man comes back, and he like books it a couple neighborhoods down. So he keeps running, and he slows down, catches his breath, and he looks ahead of him, and he sees fire trucks like driving to this one place. And he's like, "What the fuck is going on there?" So he walks to the last house, and he sees these two young kids laughing their asses off. They are hysterical about what's happening. And the dude's confused. And he looks up, and the house looks like damaged, and like there's people outside just communicating. These kids are having a great time. And the guy's like, "Hey, that looks pretty serious. Like, what's so funny about it? What's going on?" And the boys looked at each other, and they were like, "Our dad farted and the fucking house blew up."
Oh no.
Oh man,
Oh,
I remember
I-
that joke from when I was in
I
the
have
Boy
told
Scouts.
that joke for years. It never gets old. It's perfect.
speaking of dads, my dad got arrested the other day.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
what'd they charge him with?
So, you know how like when you're pumping gas and it shows the like the no cell phone sign on it and whatever the hell. I guess it causes
Yeah.
like static electricity or whatever. Well, he was on a phone call, and I guess something to do with the electricity from the phone and the gas. It caused a spark, and his arm caught on fire. And he was like, "Fucking, like help me!" And he got arrested for waving a firearm.
Yep, I
Hey,
knew it was
yo.
coming.
Where does a general keep his armies?
My ass.
In his sleeveys.
If life were a video game, what would the cheat codes be?
What?
If life were a video game, what would the cheat codes be?
Up, up, down, down,
Oh.
left, right, A, B, select.
Start.
You can do select or start.
That cheat code for life is being white and male. That's
True.
yeah.
True.
That change like your life. You play that cheat code in, and you become white and male.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Heterosexual,
was gonna say-
cisgendered,
I
white
was going to
male.
say God mode, but I think Tommy answered it for all of us. So I think we can just go ahead and skip that one.
Yep.
That's the perfect
Eric.
answer, honestly.
You all
I
right
mean,
there,
like-
Eric?
Like as crappy as things may get, I aspire at least to be self-aware enough to know that even in the midst of what I could consider the most garbage situation in my life, there's a lot of stuff as a white cis male that I just don't have to deal with. And it's
True.
not fair. And I don't mean to brag on that, but like, you know, just the difference between being a white cis male and a white cis female, or a transgender person, or bi POC, or you know, anything that is
What is
systematically oppressed,
bi-POC?
like
What is by POC?
Bisexual person of
bisexual
color.
person of color.
Okay.
Um,
Never heard of that.
anything that's not straight and white and male has systematic oppression against it, which in in that logic, if life was a video game, systematic oppression is like the mobs, dude. You know? Systematic oppression is the story. And this
Yep.
social justice announcement brought to you by.
I expected like God mode and like I'd spawn some cars and some GTA type cheat codes, but I think we're just gonna go to the last question.
Yeah, I didn't mean to spark like a whole social justice conversation. It's just
see. Robbie's dad is waving around a firearm and Tommy's waving around his privilege.
you don't have a Valentine on Valentine's Day? Some people. Oh, wow. That punchline just left my brain. Jeez.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, Tommy.
Man, I was hoping it'd be
50 Shades of
that was-
Fucky Wucky tonight.
Yeah, that was wow. I am so sorry.
Uh-huh.
I want to
It's
think
just-
this is a lead up
You
to the
don't have a
joke.
Valentine on Valentine's Day? Some people don't have a groundhog on Groundhog's Day,
That's
so
what it
check your
was.
privilege.
Speaking of animals, if animals could talk, which would be the rudest? And the answer is cockroaches. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I don't know. Have you seen Joe's apartment? Nobody's seen Joe's apartment.
I'm
Who's
not
Joe?
asking because I know
Joe
where this.
Mama!
Yeah.
No. Joe's apartment is a movie. I'm dead ass. It's about this guy
No.
named Joe.
I believe you. It's
Cockroaches.
Yeah, it's about this guy named Joe who moves into an apartment that's infested with sentient cockroaches that can talk to him.
Sounds horrible.
Oh,
nope.
Initially, it totally is horrible, but they help him get laid.
what is this like Ratatouille?
They're still
but
rude.
Roachatouille?
Yes, it is
I've
Roachatouille.
never looked at a cockroach and been like, "Oh, you could be cute." I'm just like, "Get the fuck away from me, you big
I am
palmetto bug looking
disgusted by
bitch."
cockroaches. I would
Here's
burn
another-
myself.
Here's another justification for why cockroaches would not be the rudest. Have any of you guys ever read the Gregor the Overlander
I
series?
can't read.
You guys remember that fucking
confidence.
line? It's like, hey, what's going on? I'm Jared. I'm 19 years old and I never fucking learned how to read. That guy's 24 now.
You still can't fucking read.
Still
Neither can
hasn't
I. And
learned
I'm
how to fucking
24.
read. Hasn't learned how to fucking read at 24. Can you believe that?
America's education has
American
failed,
minute, hold
Joe.
on.
So anyway, in the Gregor the Overlander series, underneath New York, there is like this subterranean city where they have giant everything. They got giant bats, they got giant spiders, they got giant ants, they got giant everything. And one of the first characters they meet in this Underland are like a group of cockroaches who are super fucking chill. Like the chillest motherfuckers in the whole goddamn series are cockroaches. All right.
They're both fucking dying right now, Tommy. You killed them. You killed our
I'll
boy.
Fucking Eric.
I'll take it. After I brought the mood down with the whole cheat codes thing, I feel like. So I had to bring it back somehow. But
Fucking Eric is still laughing about me saying I can't read, I think. That's what he's laughing about. Oh, I don't know if it's the way I said it or what, but he fucking loves it.
It's the
that's
absolute
on
confidence
Tommy,
you
but I
had.
can't read.
Well, that's my go-to line. Every time someone says, "Have you read this?" I'm like, I can't read. I can read, by the way. Just saying. But
I don't fucking believe you. That
I don't
sounds
either
like
now.
I don't think you
Shit.
can.
Just
read.
with the most big bold confidence that I've ever fucking heard out of this man. I can't read.
That
It
wasn't
was
big
done.
dick energy.
I can't
That
read.
was
Is that gonna
horse
be
cock
wrong?
energy.
There was not a split second of thought in that man's brain, except I can't read, and I am fucking sobbing over it.
oh,
Absolutely. Well done.
Wow. Those last
I'm
two
crying.
questions got derailed.
I'm
Yeah,
crying.
God.
Ooh, ooh.
So the rudest
wow.
animal, if animals could talk, the rudest animal, I think it'd be pugs.
Nah, man.
No.
Probably
sound like
this
No. No,
All right.
no.
And here's my justification. How many people have you met who are severely bitter because they are severely disabled? Physically disabled in a way that is like, I can't breathe correctly, I'm overweight, and it hurts me to walk.
Yep.
How many
No
people
one.
have you
Robbie
met that are
can't
bitter?
read.
I
Pugs
can't
can't
read.
breathe.
Yeah, no, I haven't met anybody like that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like a whole character trope. Like, do you remember in the Cleveland show, his neighbor whose wife is like so ridiculously fat and can't move properly, and she rides around in the scooter and she's
Yeah.
a huge bitch all the time.
The cripple cart.
That's like a trope. And I believe that pugs are that trope of the animal kingdom. They can't
All I'm
breathe.
thinking of is
They're
Lieutenant
physically
Dan.
they're fucking lemons. They are like the most ineffectual and poorly designed creatures that I could imagine. And I
They had
think that that
all
would make them bitter. I think they'd be pissed.
I think they talk like
they had all the usefulness spread out of them.
I'm a pug. Bark,
And
bark,
all
bark,
the
bark.
trachea was just out of there.
They sound like Steve
know-
when they talk.
No. You remember that one guy, Ben Stein?
Yeah, dude.
Was that?
Ben Stein.
Yeah.
He's from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was the teacher, the
Oh,
Bueller.
yeah.
He was
That's
also
what
the
I
guy
imagine
who's
pugs would
asked-
sound like.
I
Or the eye
can't
drops
breathe.
commercial.
Yeah, clear
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Clear eyes, realize.
I think pugs would be like, like just
Oh.
Like
Oh.
William.
struggling to get. They
hobbitses.
sound like Gollum. They would sound like Gollum.
The
Probably.
hobbitses.
Jesus Christ.
Nasty hobbitses. Those hobbitses.
I stole it.
A touch of fish. A juicy fish. So nice and sweet.
Fuck.
That's pugs. Pugs are Gollum.
No, that's a cockroach.
No. Dude,
You have to
Cockroaches are
say
fucking
cats,
evil.
though.
Okay, hold on.
Fuck
So,
cats. Fuck all
Let's
of them.
just say dogs instead of cats. Or like dogs instead of pugs or whatever. Like
Dogs.
without being specific. Sorry, dogs.
Dogs. Say it like you're from Florida.
Florida. You gonna go
I'm
out to
not.
the garage?
That's the point.
Dog.
Dogs.
No, because I think that there is a distinct difference in rudeness between like a Chihuahua and a golden
Yeah.
retriever. They're
Yeah,
totally
that's
different.
I don't know. I think gorillas would be the rudest fucking animals.
No, they'd be the
Just
Chihuahua.
because just because of how like physically like how much physical conversation they have between each other. Like they're probably rude as fuck.
Gorilla
For
Grog.
Giraffes. Dude, you ever
Oh.
seen two giraffes fight?
Yeah, they just smack fucking necks
I think
together.
giraffes would be the rudest because they have to look down on everyone.
It's like when you and your friend used to play lightsaber at summer camp.
We broke Eric again. Oh no. Oh,
I tell you
man.
what, though, you mentioned Chihuahuas, and in my
Chihuahua.
opinion, Chihuahuas are the Kardashians of the dog world. They just won't
No.
shut up until they
No.
get attention.
No, those are
No,
huskies.
I think that. Well, huskies are super
Ooh.
vocal, but I think the Kardashians of the dog world would certainly be Pomeranians.
Yeah,
That I can agree with.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a better one.
So while we're talking about that, what would be like? What would be? Well, how would you classify different kinds of dogs? Like we have the Kardashians, which would be the Pomeranians. Royalty is obviously a corgi because of the Queen of England. She had like 16 of them. Like
Yeah, I mean, I know that, but
They're
corgis
quite
are not
little.
the picture of elegance.
they're not, but
Like,
like they're known as
they're
royalty
very
because of the
But I mean
queen.
it's associated with royalty
Yeah.
and
Oh,
some
yeah,
places.
I mean,
feel like
like if we're
poodles.
going based on their personalities, I wouldn't say corgi is like the royal class of animals
No,
or of dogs.
I would say like
But
a
they
German
definitely
Shepherd.
do have that regal association because of
Yeah.
the queen. I love how we all just reference the queen, and we
Yeah.
all just sort of know that we're talking about the Queen of England,
Hashtag
which
not my
has
queen.
no influence on our life whatsoever, except that we know about her.
Yes, queen.
Yo, a German Shepherd would be so badass to have a conversation with, or like a Belgian Malinois. You know, they
What about a
probably
fucking
have like
pit
some
bull?
war stories, dude.
Hold on, back the fuck up. What did you just say?
Belgian Malinois. You know what that
the
is?
fuck is that?
That's
No.
a police dog. There's
It's a type
German
of waffle.
Shepherds and there's Belgian
That sounds like a
Malinois.
fucking Pokemon.
Look them up, dude. They're just like German Shepherds. I
How the
believe
fuck am
they're
I supposed to
smarter.
spell that? With fucking
BEL.
hieroglyphs?
GI autofill on Google.
Alex, you good? Fuck. Belgian melon waffle, whatever. I don't
Oh, I
know.
found it.
Belgian
I
melanoma.
just tried my best.
They're basically they're like German Shepherds on steroids.
Okay. Okay.
Belgian-
I'd love to have a
Yeah, now
conversation with
continue.
one.
I sent it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they're like Navy SEALs of dogs, I feel like.
That's
No,
what they
look
are.
at him. Look at it.
That's a good puppy. That's a good
Those
boy.
things
I-
are
if
expensive.
we're talking
too.
about dogs, I would love to have a conversation with a husky.
I mean, you
Hey,
basically do when
You
you're
can
near
just
one
do
anyway.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You can just do that already.
Yeah, I know.
What
but
would,
like
It would be a direct translation, like the of a husky translates into English as
Yeah.
like
What would an Australian Shepherd be?
I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go here. I'm over here. You have any water? I like water.
it would be screaming, but upside down.
Oh.
Oh no! Eric, why?
Oh. Is that like a like it's backwards?
no, it's
It inhales
It's
to
inward.
bark. It breathes in when it barks, not out.
oh my god. Oh man.
Fuck.
Does that make Shiba Inu like sideways? He's like, hey everybody.
It's going like this.
And then you got fucking dachshunds, and they're like over there building BMWs and shit.
Dachshunds are the wiener dogs,
Man,
right?
I tell you what,
Yeah.
dude.
What if they were
are-
built vertically and not
dachshund people, like people who have always had dachshunds are strange. Like
Dachshunds are a cult.
we have a Chihuahua dachshund, but we didn't.
Yeah, that's
buy
what I
him on
have.
purpose. Like we just he was like a Florida brown dog kind of situation, you know. Happens to be what we assume is dachshund Chihuahua. I mean, but he's pretty chill. Like, you know, I would never in my life have thought that I would form such an attachment to a Chihuahua, but the dog is just cool.
I think
Yeah, I
Eric's the
also
only
have a
one
Chiweenie. They're really chill.
who caught my
We
joke.
call him a Chiweenie.
Yeah,
Like
they're
I said,
Mexican hot
Not on
dogs.
purpose. He was not on purpose. We don't call him a Chiweenie. You only give them a breed name when they're on purpose.
Fair
Thank you,
enough.
Eric.
Robbie, what was the joke that you made earlier?
What if dachshunds were built vertically and not long ways, horizontally?
So
I'm
their head
thinking
and
of
their
is
ass really
giraffes.
close together, but their bodies
Their
really
bodies like that. It's like a Doug Dimmadone's hat.
call it a stoxand.
Doug Dimmadog.
Oh, Dimsdale Dimsdale.
I hate you all.
Alex, I can bounce a
we hate
quarter
it here.
off of your head. It's so shiny, boy.
It's fucking brighter than my future.
Honestly, you showed us a picture of you with your head like completely shaved, like your sideburns and everything. You should just rock that.
Yeah, dude,
I
I feel like at
totally
this
agree.
point, like my haircut and Alex's haircut are the exact opposite of one another.
Yeah, if we put them together, we'd have one
Yeah.
regular head.
Yeah, like I got bald sides and he's got the bald top. And if we just mashed that all into one haircut, we would look like a normal person. And I wouldn't look like a tool.
You still would, but
No, you're right.
Aw.
No, you're right. You're right. I know what I am. I know who I
With
am.
both of your mega minds put together, you might have a 3090 at that point.
oof.
I don't know. I don't know if you've got room in there for all the thoughts I have going on a consistent basis. I don't. I don't have enough room.
Tommy, I sent you a picture of my Mexican hot dog, or in Discord.
That sounds
Oh, he's good.
like a sex
Oh,
position,
he's
doesn't
so
it?
good.
Let me see. Let me I'm gonna show
She's a
the
good girl.
viewers.
Oh, she's good. I apologize for misgendering your dog.
Yeah, you assumed.
I
Tom,
did.
Fuck you
That's
doing
not fair.
assuming
You
genders, boy.
assumed the gender of my Mexican hot dog. How dare you?
Yeah. That's problematic, and I apologize.
Well,
You're
actually,
canceled.
nobody can see this picture. I'm just gonna describe it. It's my dog in a sombrero with a hot dog costume on.
No, I showed the picture.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
We have the technology for that. What do you think this is? 2021?
Rebuild.
COVID's over. Let's go to a bar.
Yay!
Cough on each
I
other.
can't
not wear
wait to
masks.
go to a shitty bar
Dude,
and drink
I can't wait to
watered
go to a
down
show.
beer.
That's all I want.
You
I-
what?
I want a
can't wait
mosh pit.
to go to a show. I miss having my ears ring intentionally.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
miss there being a reason.
I was gonna say, I think one of the last shows that Robbie and I both went to was the same one.
Yeah.
We went to go see Beartooth, right? Was that our last show, or was
No.
it Slipknot?
No,
Eartooth.
the last show might have been a Delineate show actually. Before that, it was Slipknot, and then of course all Delineate shows. But when we went and saw Beartooth, my ears were ringing for a solid like 27 hours after that. That was
No, I
fucking
wear
It was well
earplugs
worth
to
it.
every show, dude.
Oh,
I
fuck
can't. At this point, like I'm really genuinely
Huh?
worried about damaging my hearing. I wear earplugs.
Huh?
Getting old sucks.
Deadpan.
I'm so glad Robbie caught it.
I
That's
caught
all
it
right.
too.
That's all right, girl.
That's all right.
Oh, I ordered 2 Mad merch. I'm excited for it to come in. That
Oh
reminds me.
no, you got to send me a link to it.
I will. I'll show you what I ordered. You guys want to call it? We're at an hour 21 minutes.
I'm good.
Yeah, I think it's about time. I think it's
Yeah.
time for us to go. We have bullshit long enough.
Yeah. All right. Leftovers at midnight. Episode 16, 17,
16.
18, 25. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.